Tomas is up first. He says, "Heyo, what are the relatively easy niches for lead generation service?" Akshat says, "How are you currently identifying the website visitors who never opted in?" Akshat says, "Hello everyone, what is the best way to retarget website traffic in your opinion?" Kieran says, "For agency owners who specialize in Google Ads, do you find that Keyword Planner tends to underestimate keyword volume?" Start our day with some daddy gun show. Ridiculousness. Baby. Try and act not impressed. It cannot be done. Welcome back, everybody. We are kicking ass and taking names here in the agency space. We got a collection of some of the brightest, smartest movers and shakers, which I love, which is part of why I love doing these things, is because you guys are so fucking cool. Quick little announcement just before we get rocking and rolling. You'll notice I haven't been doing a whole lot of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of madness. Part of the reason is I grew up in Canada. We have a different Thanksgiving altogether, and there was no Black Friday growing up, so I don't fully feel all that festive about it and all that. But a bigger reason is actually just because we're working on an affiliate program behind the scenes, and we're going to basically just let you guys keep all the money, basically. So if you guys want to, we have a number of courses that are selling. If you're looking for some extra holiday money or something easy that's complimentary, you'll be able to sell our courses and keep 100% of the proceeds, and we'll actually do the delivering. What's up, our man Hetty? So I'm super stoked to reveal that to you guys and set that up. I don't know exactly how long the tech setup will take, but I imagine next few days we'll be rocking and rolling. And that's it. So let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. Ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum. To the gun show we go. Which way is the beach? Come on, is it that way or that way? Come on, do it! Do it! Get back to the chopper! I actually have a friend in the legal space. His name is Michael Mogul. And they put on a big annual conference for lawyers, and he actually had Arnold as a guest speaker. So that's a little bit of the inspiration. Anyways, let's get into the questions. You guys are working on some good stuff. Had a week off. Last week was feeling like shit. I think I got food poisoning. I was shitting my guts out and puking. A little too much information, but that's the reality. We're human over here. Last I checked. So Tomas is up first. He says, "Heyo, what are the relatively easy niches for lead generation service? My niche is difficult and my service sucks. I'm working on improving and hiring a media buyer, but I'm pretty sure he'll suck as well. I paid for help from the guy who has good results himself in the niche, but couldn't really help, and all the advice I got is to test. From my understanding, a lot of home improvement niches will be suitable: concrete, paving, insulation, anything else you recommend." Here's the deal, Tomas. I had a rant about this the other day, and I said the two biggest reasons people change niches all the time or don't pick one is, thing number one is they think, if I pick the wrong niche, man, I'm fucked forever. And it comes from an inherent belief that there's good niches and bad niches. If you pick the wrong one, you're fucked forever. Forever, ever, 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 right? And in reality, almost all niches are a spectrum, meaning there's like broke people in every niche, there's people crushing it, there's a whole bunch of people in the middle. Like, it's a spectrum, right? Like, all the way top to bottom. Doesn't matter whether you pick yoga, accounting, e-commerce, doesn't matter. Like, it's a spectrum. And so the idea that, like, if you get the niche wrong is kind of the wrong idea. The second thing is, and this is the one that I wanted to specifically mention to you, is the second thing is, as soon as people meet difficulty in the niche, they think, oh, it's just a difficult niche, I should go into something easier. And here's the truth, is every niche is like almost like a secret fucking language. And what I mean by that is, like, just look at us internet marketers. We say click-through rates and SEO and funnels and PPC. And like, if we were talking to each other, we would understand one another. But I promise, like, if I have my family from back home at the dinner table, my aunts and uncles are sitting there, and we're talking about PPC and SEO and funnels, like, they're going to look at us like we're speaking a foreign language. And so part of the difficulty is you have to fucking learn who these people are, what they want, their hopes, their dreams, their desires, their frustrations, what they're sick of. And almost always, people give up as soon as they run into this and don't learn those things, and then they start over with a new niche. And I see people hop from niche to niche every fucking month looking for that easier niche, and they never find it because they have to start at zero and they never get to build real momentum. And momentum, by the way, is a real fucking thing, which is why you want to stay in one lane and keep like driving your race. Like for me, when I first started making agency videos, just this thing, nobody gave a fuck. 0 people watching. Still made the videos anyway, by the way. And then eventually I started getting like likes and comments and engagement, and like those build over time. But what ends up happening is eventually you reach a stage where you have momentum, where like now like it's actually built up to something. And then you reach a stage where what I call unstoppable momentum. So like for me, and I'm not saying this is the answer for everybody, but like, you know, because I've done a lot of videos, like even if I stop making videos today, like I get hit by a bus, I lay in the hospital, people are going to watch those videos, they're going to subscribe, they're going to buy the book. Like I couldn't fucking stop it now if I wanted to. And that's where you want to get in your personal business, is unstoppable momentum, and you can't do that if you're always niche hopping. So you mentioned your case is interior designers. Now listen, there are some niches that are kind of more conducive to lead generation. We're dealing with one of those in water damage restoration because it's an emergency. Like when somebody needs it, like they need it immediately. But having said that, interior designer, I love selling intangible things like that, and I think it would be worth your benefit to stick with it and learn it. And I'll tell you, the key with kind of like sticking with it and learning it in this case is think of it as an 80-20, because it sounds like the part of the challenge is interior design is custom work. But think about like, chances are 80% of the work they're getting is very repetitive and is like very, very similar. And so what I would focus on, like build some kind of lead magnet, whether it's a book or a PDF or a video or a training or something where they can download some more information about that one thing that everybody always asks for anyway. Like, let's say you're doing interior design and you get, and I don't know this because I'm not in the industry, but I would ask your client, like, what do you get calls in all the time? And let's say they get calls from like home builders, right? Well, what are home builders interested? Probably in saving money on materials, getting happy clients. So I might have like a little downloadable PDF about like the 5 most material efficient homes to build that clients absolutely love, something like that. And that starts the lead generation process right there. And then it's just a matter of follow up and answering questions and the really basic things. So if it's not working, it's almost always a strategy issue, and you want to revisit and go back to that. So I hope that's helpful, my man. Akshat says, how are you currently identifying the website visitors who never opted in? We're using a tool called customers.ai. It can't identify everybody. It can identify about 15 to 20% of people. And this is based on the browser you use, the spending habits, whether you're logged into Google or not logged into Google. I don't know exactly how they figure it all out, but they use as many data points to figure out, yeah, that is uniquely this person. So 1 out of 5 people they can identify even with them without them opting in. Customers.ai. We had Larry Kim on. For those of you guys who didn't see the interview, you can go watch it and walk through his amazing service and software. Akshat says, hello everyone, what is the best way to retarget website traffic in your opinion? In my opinion, I believe that I would rather spend more money marketing to people who have explicitly demonstrated interest in what we offer, and less money trying to get new people. And this is counter to how everybody else does it. Everybody else spends all the money, let's get new people in the machine. And there's certainly a reason to do that, so I'm not like throwing stones at that. But personally, if you gave me a budget and said, like, would you rather spend more money with the people who've shown interest or strangers? Most people in real practical real life terms will spend more on the strangers, but I think the opposite is true. And this is true for your clients as well. And so for me, I believe in what I call omnipresent retargeting, which is put as much fucking tracking code on that goddamn website as it'll let you and retarget on all of them. So some of you guys have said this to me who are in our retargeting sequences that, you see me on Facebook, you see me on Instagram, you've seen me on YouTube, you've seen our display ads. Well, that's because I'm retargeting you. Omnipresent, by the way. I'm doing it across as many platforms as it will let me, and that's the secret right there, is like hit 'em up style, hit 'em up everywhere. And the cool thing is retargeting ads are like dirty dirt cheap. You can do like seriously like a lot of damage in most of your businesses with $1 per day in retargeting, just spread across like 10 platforms, and you'd be amazed because it does the follow-up for you, especially if you have it like where you're using testimonials and offers and images, and you have like different content videos, and they're not just seeing one thing over and over, but they're seeing like 10, 12 things cycling. I find that, like, for us, works really, really well. So I'm not saying that's the right answer for everybody, but we like it that way. Try it. Kieran says, for agency owners who specialize in Google Ads, do you find that Keyword Planner tends to underestimate keyword volume? To give you context, when I see a keyword that's 1 to 100 searches per month on Keyword Planner, then I see 30 impressions a day in that keyword. Not sure is this is just an outlier. Also, 2 questions. What's the best tool for keyword volume research? Is there a tool you can scan keyword volume across, such as Snake Catcher near me is search most in Texas and least search in California, so you can identify what areas are good areas? Kieran, I'm going to give you probably a different answer than you're necessarily looking for. Hold on a second. I'm just going to run a little tag here. I never know how to make this work. There we go. Okay. Not happening. All right. Try to tag somebody, but not happening. So anyway, with that, so a lot of the reason is to think you need to go where the most amount of keyword volume is, but we did the rank and rent, and this was my experience with it. The best thing to look for are winnable keywords, and the best way to tell, there's a lot of tools that can analyze competition and things like that. We found the best way is like literally just search it in Google, use that magic tool called Google, and you can almost tell based on what comes up in the search results how difficult or not difficult it'll be. So if you, like, for example, if you search a term and Wikipedia is number 1, you're probably gonna have a hard time unseating Wikipedia. But if it's like some fucking directory you've never even heard is the top listing, like, you got a pretty good shot of unseating them. So what I found is, like, rather than trying to like find out this perfect keyword analysis, which I have found, at least our experience, like I never found anything that really did that. I found it's better just to focus on like winnable battles, like where are the places I can get easy rankings, even if by the way, the site is getting 0 search volume, you can still sometimes rank that as like a, hey, pay me $99 a month and I'll keep you number 1 for blah, blah, blah. And because business owners have been convinced like being number 1 in Google means 1 million people are searching you, even if it's like a keyword with 0 search volume, which there's plenty of those. So what I found is like winnable battles is actually the most important thing. And so like just pull a list of like 500 keywords on the thing you're doing and just search them one by one and just make notes like that one's easy, that one's easy, that one's easy. And then you can cross-reference that with estimated search volume and go after the highest ones with the least amount of competition. But the least amount of competition is actually, to me, the most valuable piece of it, not the search volume. Because what you want is not to have like one keyword where you're crushing it, but rather like 50 or 100 or 1,000 different rankings you own and are leasing, and not like, be caught up in the whole like, hey, if anything ever happens this one ranking, we're fucked, right? Like you want to have a stable kind of footing, at least in my opinion. Demetrius, I was hoping to tag you since we got triple questions back to back, but no dice, not having. Let me just try one more time. No. Let's see if that worked. Okay, anyways. Let's see if that even did anything. Okay, so first question, he says, what are your thoughts about putting your pricing on your website? I have gone back and forth on these questions more times than I care to admit. Here's the deal with putting the pricing on the website. Is conventional wisdom says, no! The Kembe Matumbo, no! You do not put pricing on the website. And the reason people say that is business owners have no context to evaluate it. They'll just try and shop around for the cheapest price, and that's all fine and dandy. I'm here to tell you we do the opposite, proudly put our pricing on our website. Now, why is that? Now, firstly, I believe the biggest reason most people don't do it is because they don't know how to present price. I'll give you an example of this, okay? Like, just so you can wrap your head around this. Imagine there's an ad for a car, and it says the car is $5,000. Well, that's not a good price or a bad price. Like, that's not a deal or a ripoff until you know which car you're getting for it, right? So, like, to me, there's a huge difference between, hey, we have a 1972 used Chevy Lumina with the door falling off and it barely runs. That's a ripoff for like $5,000. But if I say to you, hey, my wife, I just bought her a brand new 911 Porsche 911 Turbo, and she cheated on me, so as punishment, I'm selling her car for $5,000. First person who gets here gets the car. That's a huge deal, and you need to run the fuck over there right away. So the reason I say this is it depends what you're getting in return, and it's not entirely based on just like the mathematical, here's the number. And so you always want to contextualize your price with what they're getting. And I wrote about this in the book, by the way. I don't remember exactly which section it's in, but in Beyond the Agency Box, I call this the IVQ formula. And it simply tells people, you tell people the investment, in other words, how much. Then you quantify it with the value they are going to get in return, right? Because the car they're going to get is actually the most important thing. And then the Q is who it works best for. So instead of saying like, hey, call for pricing, I personally want people to have the heart attack on the website if it's too much money, or if they can't afford it, to not call me, right? Like, don't call me if you can't afford it. We don't need to talk for an hour if it's a money issue. And you'd be amazed at how many sales calls are just the person curious to know, well, how much is this thing? So the investment is blank. This is what you'll get, and qualify. It works really well in this situation. So the investment for our SEO services are $2,000 a month. It takes about 6 months to work, but for that, you'll get about 50 to 100 phone calls every month on average. And we found it works really, really well if you have at least one crew of guys. Right? There's an example of IBQ. So read up on that in the book, because that's the answer to presenting pricing, is just fucking do it, but use IVQ so that they contextualize. Because otherwise, you're just saying car, $5,000. Instead of car, brand new 911 Turbo for $5,000, because the most important detail is what you're going to get in return. And most people don't know how to do that unless they're on like a custom kind of sales call, but you don't need to do it on a custom sales call. Demetrius 2.0 says, I woke up to this message in my inbox and I'm not sure exactly how to proceed. Do I offer a training? Do I make a lead magnet? Do I try and bring them on as a client? Would love your thoughts. Hey, hope you are well. Here's the message, by the way. Hey, hope you are well. I see your passion lies in a similar field to ours. I run the UK's largest independent niche. We teach around 1,750 people per week. We train teachers and offer formal teacher qualifications and business development side. Plus, we write globally recognized course materials. There may be mutual value in us discussing how we can cross-promote. So here's the deal, okay? If you mentioned this as a shoe store. For those of you guys not familiar with the terminology, I wrote about this in the book, but it's the idea, if you sell shoes, you want to sell shoes to people who buy shoes. And it sounds so simple, but like it's what we do metaphorically with our marketing services typically is we try and sell to people who are barefoot, who logically need what we do, instead of people who have a closet full of shoes. So that's like, you want to sell marketing services to people who are already paying for 20 marketing services. It makes sense when you say it, but most people in practice do the opposite. And then there's a level past that where if you want to collaborate and really move the needle, you collaborate with the people who are already selling shoes at scale to your marketplace and have built an audience of shoe buyers. And those, we call those shoe stores. So these can be like conferences, or the big podcast, or the industry association, or the person who is the biggest SEO provider in your space, etc. There's lots of examples of this. Not going to beat those up for now. But so in this case, Demetrius has gotten a reply from a shoe store. As mentioned, they have 1,750. Now, the secret to making this irresistible is to figure out what matters to them and what they're trying to do, right? And this is true in any case. If you help other people to get what they want, not only will it like help you get what you want, but it will be irresistible to them because it helps them to do what they want. So in their case, they're offering you the chance to cross promote. So my first question would be, what do you want to cross promote and why? Like what do you want, or what do you want to promote? Not even cross promote. Like what do you most want to promote and why? And then I always try and focus on being helpful towards that end. So if they say like, hey, we're really trying to push this ABC certification course right now because that would be our most valuable thing. Cool.
And then I would figure out everything I could do to help promote their ABC certification course and do as much of it for them and give them the ideas and give them as much help and support on that. And you'd be amazed at how those people become partners like really, really fast. The other flip side of that is, sorry, I blanked out for a second, but if they're already open to cross-promoting, and this is a thing that happens with shoe stores, you don't have to delay it. Just like, hey, I'd be interested in promoting whatever your thing is, right? Like, you could just be straight and upfront with them. Like, you're not the first and only person talking to them about this thing. So they're super excited. But the way you handle the responses is always becoming curious about them and what they're trying to build. Almost always when you're stuck trying to find a perfect answer, it's because you're thinking too much about you and how do I get them to sell my thing, and that happens, right? It happens to all of us, and the way to get out of it and to know what to say is just become curious. What are you building? What are you trying to sell? How long have you been doing it? What have you tried so far? Like, those kind of things are what you talk about always, and it doesn't matter whether like they're wildly successful or just starting out. It doesn't change with who you're talking to. Like, the more you become intensely curious about them and what they're trying to build, what the obstacles are, why they want this so bad, those kind of things, like, the conversations become pretty easy, I find anyway. Josh says, do you prefer inbound or outbound leads? Inbound, 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 and I'll tell you why, okay? There are two extreme levels of positioning, and they change dramatically your entire client relationship and business model. Over here, we'll call this one the digital door knocker. Knocked on your door. Hey, like a door-to-door salesperson. Everybody, think about how annoying door-to-door salespeople are. That's how most people are treated in DMs, right? Like, yeah, I might buy, but I'm buying just because I want the thing. Like, I don't particularly value the door-to-door salesperson. The flip side of that is what I call the heart surgeon. The heart surgeon is an expert that you metaphorically have climbed the mountain to see if they will potentially work with you and all that, and see how much of a good fit they are and that kind of stuff. So the reason I say that is whenever possible, you want to be the sought after expert and not the door-to-door salesperson. In fact, even back in the day, we used to use a lot of LinkedIn. I created a fake LinkedIn thing. I'm admitting this in 2016. I had an assistant I called David Smith, gave him a generic name and a generic profile picture. And the reason I gave him a generic name is because it would be impossible to Google him because it would just be too common of a name. But I wanted so that once somebody was interested, I could still pass them off to the expert. And I did that because I wanted that expert positioning, right? Like a heart surgeon doesn't knock on your door and say, hey, anybody in there want heart surgery? That's just not what an expert does. You seek out the expert. So wherever possible, I think the smartest way to build this is inbound. And I'll tell you why. Because it affects everything that happens after. When you're the expert and they've come to you, and it's not even a guarantee you're going to accept them, their trust level in you is very, very high. When you're the door-to-door salesperson, it's basically zero. And so onboarding is harder, retaining is harder, communication is harder. Everything that happens after is more difficult. So that's my way of saying, like, always, always, always. I think the goal is to drive more inbound and to have. The other reason to do this is it's more energetically efficient. I want my websites to do the filtering. I want my videos to do the filtering. I want, a podcast to do the filtering. I don't want to have to talk to everybody on the phone and filter them. I want my stuff out there to just bring the right people. You'd be amazed at how many times people say this magic phrase. They say, been following you for a little while now and finally decided to pull the trigger on blah, blah, blah. And that's what you want, right? Is like where people just come out of the woodwork and decide you're the expert, you're the heart surgeon, want to come work with you. Kiesha says, what do y'all think about the financial sector niches, i.e. financial services? I will say the one tricky thing about this niche is there can be a lot of handcuffs on what you can and can't say in stuff. Like we did some stuff called managed futures back in the day, and we could show people all the examples of returns, and then we'd have to say, past returns doesn't guarantee the future. Basically, even though we made money, there's no guarantee you'll make money, and it kills the promise quite a bit. Having said that, they can be really awesome high-end niches, and I'll tell you where most people screw it up is they just don't know how to do it, because it's more of a gradual sale of lead magnet, get them to raise their hand, nurture them over time, And because most people like don't wake up, it's not always a hair on fire problem. You have to like build that over time. Like, for example, if somebody's going to invest into the future, you have to convince them that things suck today and they need to take drastic action. And that's sometimes a trickier thing because it's easier to sell a cure than prevention. So like, prevention is like in 20 years from now, you want your kids to have a good a good college fund and go where they want and have some savings in a house. That's 20 years from now, though. That's a harder sell than like, hey, if you don't do some shit now, like the IRS is going to take money from you this year right now, right? So like they can be tricky for that reason. But having said that, way too many people think the niche is the issue when it's really just their commitment to the niche, right? It's an internal stance. It's the same way that like, How many diets work? Well, I'll give you the answer, which is fucking most of them. I'm sure there's some bullshitty ones that like tell you can just eat cake all the time and those don't work. But for the most part, like diets work. They have worked for a long time. What doesn't work is people's approach to the diets, right? And so we don't want to get caught in the, is it the niche? Is it the wrong niche? Blah, blah, blah. And get more into the, who the fuck am I being in relation to that niche? And you'll show up better, you'll show up stronger, and you'll do it kind of like better, more consistently. Because I think that's a more important thing than just magically picking some. What most people do is they think they're going to find some secret source of money. Almost always you find some plain Jane boring niche where a million people have been before, and then you find some untapped blue ocean within it, and therefore like put your flag in that thing and build around that. And it's almost always not that exciting of a fucking niche. Like the amount of people we know having success in HVAC and electricians and, lawyers and dentists and the usual boring fucking suspects, but it works. The reason why there's a niche there at all is because it works. So that's my way of saying, like, don't get in this idea that, what do you think of this niche? What do you think of that niche? And everybody like overly analyzing niche. Just pick one that you actually like the people in. That's actually the most important thing, because you'll work harder if you like the people and believe in what they're selling than if you don't. Liv says, hey everyone, lots of ads popping up on Facebook at the moment about we agency owners jumping on the AI bandwagon, leveraging it to provide extra services to our clients, being a beacon to guide business owners through the AI revolution, if you will. I'm just curious to know how many of you are already working on implementing this and what people's opinions are on it all. All right. This is a very different opinion than probably what you're going to hear. Is when I evaluate opportunities, my number one factor is not in like, how new is this? How exciting? How hot is this thing? That's what everybody else looks at. My number one factor is firstly, how long is this thing likely to be around? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Like the reason why we do a lot of direct mail and why like behind the scenes, you guys will see more of this in the upcoming days, but we're doing a lot of real estate is because direct mail ain't going anywhere, not for any near future anyways. And even if it does go away, it'll just become digital. And then secondly, like real estate ain't going anywhere. Like people are always going to need a place to live. And I know that's not like the most exciting thing. Like take your agency money and go put it into real estate, right? But I'll tell you what most people get excited about is like hockey stick. Like I could 200x my money. And what happens is I see people hop from shiny thing to shiny thing. They're in crypto, then they're in NFTs, then they're into ChatGPT, then they're into AI bots, and they'll be into something else tomorrow, and they don't stick with things long enough, and they constantly hop from like shiny thing to shiny thing to shiny thing to shiny thing. Is this a shiny thing? Maybe, maybe not. Who's to say? But I suspect if I had to bet money on will AI stay as is for the next 10 years, like I would bet a lot of money on no, that it will evolve and grow and change. And therefore, like to me, like trying to be the chatbot wizard. Now there is an exception to that. If you really enjoy this stuff and you really love it, I think it's different. But if you're looking for like something easier, the biggest mistake people look for is trying to find something easier, quicker, faster kind of vehicle instead of looking for something that's still going to be around that they can stick with long enough that when they build momentum, that momentum like carries them essentially for the rest of their life, right? You build a successful real estate business, there's still going to be real estate 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And so that momentum like carries forward. As where if you build an AI chatbot thing, you might not even have a business in a year. You may, I don't know. I'm not claiming to know the future, but I think people look at opportunities the wrong way. Is they're looking for what'll be the fastest, easiest, blah, blah, blah. And that's the surest way to be changing what you're doing every fucking year because you're trying to catch the latest fucking trend. Oh, TikTok ads are hot. I'm going to be a TikTok ad agency. Oh, you know what? Facebook Messenger bots are super hot. I'm going to do it. You know what? Crypto's hot. I'm going to do that. You know, and I like all of these things, by the way. I use crypto. We have some NFT projects that we're working on in the background. We use all kinds of AI and AI chatbots. But as far as like an opportunity, what most people look at is just like that immediate need of like, it's the lottery mentality. Like I could win the lottery. And instead of thinking about winning the lottery, think about like, how can I put away $1 today so that it keeps earning me 10-cent residual month after month forever. And if you start doing that and you start answering that question, what happens is you'll build up momentum, it'll compile. And so my answer to that, what do I think about being the beacon? I would only do it if you fucking love it. Like if you really fucking love AI and you geek out and you can't wait to talk about it, and when you bump into people at parties, you have to talk about it, go for it. But what most people are doing is just looking for some greener grass. I see this all the fucking time, is that as soon as people meet resistance in their path, they go, oh, I have to do something completely different that's easier, instead of going, how can I figure this fucking thing out? What's up, Zach? And I'll tell you, like this becomes really fucking obvious. I heard Gary Vee talking about this the other day. He said, my favorite are the fitness entrepreneurs, because the fitness entrepreneurs always come to him and say, what's the shortcut? What's the fastest, quickest, easiest way I'm going to be like an overnight success, crush it, sell millions of dollars of shit? And they're not looking for boring, predictable growth. And he says, when clients come to you and with exercise and they say, what's the shortcut? What do you tell them? He says, well, I always tell them that there is no shortcut. You got to do your push-ups, you got to eat right, and you got to like develop consistent habits and do it day after day, and then you build momentum, and it like the results happen over time. And he's like, now take that same logic to business, because that's what you tell everybody, and that's the same thing that's true in business, right? So always I see people looking for this latest, greatest thing that they can blow up with. The other thing is, you don't want to have what I call a 12-month hero run. I've met people who crushed it in business over, like, I've been doing this 16 years, and I've met people who like the tortoise versus the hare. They come out running like the blocks like the hare, and they have immediate success and they crush it, and everybody's like looking up to them. But they built it on something that was just like a short-term trend or a loophole or something like that, or they figured out a hack in Google. And what ends up happening is 6, 12, maybe 24 months max later, they're out of business, and they start back at zero, and they have zero momentum when they start back at zero. As where if you're just doing boring shit and plodding forward, it's not that exciting, but it just fucking works. And so I'd much rather sell you guys something that actually works, rather than like this exciting, you can get the fucking super rich lottery mega blah 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 millions if you just install AI chatbots. And instead look at shit that's like gonna still be there. Like that's especially for those of you guys like me. Like I have kids to think about. My kids are gonna want to eat next month, and the month after that, and the year after that, and then 5 years from now. Like they're gonna want to eat and eat and eat. So the more I can solve the problems of longevity, the better it is for everybody involved. And the other thing is the long-term shit. Like nobody's really interested in fundamentals. Everybody wants some like short-term, fast-acting, crazy fucking tactic that's gonna get explosive motherfucking growth. And almost always people like lose years in the pursuit of that when they, you know, I remember in the beginning, I tried over 200 different make money online ideas. Just so you guys know, I tried 200 of them. Most of them didn't work, by the way, but a few of them did. And I remember a friend of mine, he didn't say it actually directly to me. He's in this group. His name is Dave. One of my original like OGs that like really got me through some of these early times in the internet when I didn't know very many people doing this. And Dave said, in the amount of time you spent chasing a shiny object, you could have just built a real business. And I thought about it, and I thought, you know, there was no one shiny object that was a lot of work, but I chased like 10 of them, 20 of them, 30 of them. And I was like, and you know, if I just picked any of these 30 and just stayed with it, I'd be further ahead than having dabbled in all 30 of them. Right? So this is a call to like get fucking serious about what you're doing in terms of like long-term vision, and be willing to say that magic word no. Like, not enough internet marketers say no. I get it. Like, we have way more shiny objects than any other market. But if you chase shiny object to shiny object to shiny object, you'll start over. You'll never have any real momentum, and you'll constantly be looking for that thing that's going to explosive growth instead of just boring ass, predictable fucking continuous growth. And there are like exponential returns on that path too. It's just that, you know, boring ass fundamentals. Like, I had a talk with a friend of mine who has a $50 million video editing agency, and he said, like, just boring fundamentals. We work on our hiring processes, we work on our talent recruiting, we work on our SOPs, and we do that day after day after day, and we just keep making incremental improvements and all those things and over. But what happens is we get better people, we get better at training them, we get better at welcoming them, we get better systems, our output becomes better as a result, our clients are happier, and it's just boring shit done day after day after day after day, like uncommon. Just do your fucking push-ups again today, drink your green juice, and then do it again tomorrow and do your push-ups and drink your green juice. I know that's not a sexy answer, but I think it's the most helpful answer, which is stop getting fucking caught up in the exponential hockey growth overnight fucking millionaire lottery if I sell AI chatbots, and go into something that maybe is even a little bit difficult. And instead, when you meet that resistance, lean into it instead of trying to find easier, greener grass. For those guys, that's all the questions, by the way. For those guys who missed the intro, we are working behind the scenes on an affiliate program, and so that will allow you guys to be able to sell our courses and stuff like that for 100% of the money. You get to keep all of it, every last cent. And that is just a couple of tech things. I know I haven't done much on the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Just wasn't feeling it this year. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Canada. We have a different Thanksgiving, and you know, it's Black Friday was just never a thing growing up. We got a different day for that too. So anyway, we're going to be putting together this affiliate program, which will allow you guys to be able to sell stuff. I'm hoping that for you guys that you know, are still in the figuring out stuff stages, this will be a totally new revenue source for you, and you don't have to do anything other than just share a link here and there to somebody who can use it. And that's really all I have to say about that. So when it's ready, I will make an announcement, but excited to share that with you guys. Really appreciate you guys. And I guess that's all we got here on this Monday morning. Much love for you guys. May the force be with you, and no more shiny objects, people. Commitment. It's underrated. It's underrated in business, but I'll tell you, commitment will get you farther than, hey, what's the next easiest, latest, greatest shiny doohickey? And I'm guilty of it as much as anyone, so this is much just for me as anyone else. But love you guys, appreciate you guys, and may the force be with you. Guys, if you like this video, you're also going to want to grab some free bonuses, which you can get at our website, Beyond Agency Profits. To make it easy for you, I've put the links to it in the description of this video, as well as pinned in the top comment. And we've got a couple of awesome things. This is what you'll get after you sign up. You get some of our best training, how we're closing clients over Loom videos, how we sometimes sign clients that is not a misprint for under $5 US, how to demonstrate your value in like amazing ways, trainings, how to have your clients write the best copy of your life, how we're closing without phone calls, campaigns that we've generated for clients that have done over $100,000, as well as scripts you can use to get conversations going with clients in under 10 minutes. All you got to simply do is go there, enter your name and email address, and then this is what you'll see on the other side. So if that's interesting to you, make sure to click the links below, and I will see you on the other side.